Okay, so this is the RAM or electric boot tailgate motor. There are normally two of them. This is one I've repaired before, and for some reason it's just got some water ingress, and as you probably can see here, literally it's soaking wet, and it stopped working. Because they are quite expensive. Obviously, if you load it, you can buy a new one and just forget about it. But if you're a little bit mechanically minded, you'll try to figure out how to fix it. And in the worst case scenario, in the last resort, you'll buy a new one. But I'll try to fix it. Right, so after opening this little cover for the motor, you could literally see the moisture in there. So all this will have to be dried up, cleaned up. The wiring repair that I've done before, well, ain't the best. I tried to route the wires the same way that you've been done before, but I think you'll have to be done different way, because obviously repairing the wires, well, simply I know which previously, because all these wires, all four wires are white. I had to sort of figure out which wire goes where, so that's why I didn't sort of make them straight from the plug to the board. But now I'll literally resolder all brand new wires from the board to the plug, and I'll have a couple connections at the end here. Yes, I can open that up, and yeah, or maybe I can open that up and I'll just literally go inside the plug. Yeah, you can open it up. Yeah, so I'll basically redo all the wiring from the board all the way out to the plug, so that everything is brand new. Then obviously use a sealant. I think I still got some white bathroom sealant, so I'll use that. But yeah, so I need to remove everything, take everything apart, clean it up, make sure, you know, no water ingress gonna happen again. Right, so after removing the motor from rest of the components, from the spring, from the rest of the, you know, the mechanical bits, so if you look closer, it's bad. It's really bad, and I will have to reroute them, because the way they go, they're basically too tight. They are squeezed too tight, and the other side that's on the car that's still working, it's rubbing there as well. So it's just a matter of time when it will stop working as well. I managed to remove all the wiring from the board, all the plugs. There was this where is it? I dropped it somewhere, but this white connector on the top, so I removed that. I've got a drawing somewhere, yeah, here. So that's the connector, and this is this board. So we've got feed, we've got obviously colors of the wiring, and I've got obviously these numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4 represents these contacts here, looking at the board like this. So obviously I will know then which wire goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, which wire goes onto the plug. So if anyone will need that for whatever reason in the future, then obviously you look at the plug like this, and you've got one from the right, obviously skipping the first one because it's empty, there is nothing in there. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, but obviously looking at the numbers, so number 1 on the board is on the left, number 1 on the connection is on the right. So yeah, so now I need to resolder these thin wires. I got them from Where did I get them from? I think that's the internet wire, the one that I've removed and don't need anymore. So I've got a bit thicker wires here as well. That's for the feed, and that's it. No, actually the feed gonna be the original wire. I've just cut the end so that it's nice and straight. So yeah, the motor actually needs cleaning and painting, which I will do now. Right, so we can, as we can see here, I've painted the motor nice, clean. Everything was, you know, sanded down, primed and painted. Yeah, so all the wires are here instead of this broken plug. These feed wires, they've been chopped down slightly and resoldered again, so that nothing is so that everything is working properly. And this is the plug. By when I was opening the plug, I've broke the clip, so I've just left the laundry clip on it to keep it together because I glued it. So, but when you open the plug, there is a very tiny tab that you need to press, and then you slide the clip out. So I'll give you an example. So if you look at this part here, this, so that's what you will have, only one tab like this in the connection. You just need to press that down and slide the connection out. Yeah, so now I'll tell you where to heat up to open up the boot strut. Right, so this is the ram, the boot, electric boot, sort of strut ram electric thing. So the motor obviously goes in here, it matches the splines. This is the part that goes to the back. If you'll focus one day maybe. Yep. So obviously that thing goes to the back. This is the O-ring that goes around the motor, somewhere there. It doesn't really do its job because obviously we've seen loads of water ingress earlier. And this is the other half. Basically that's the other cover for the motor, and it goes on like so. Yeah, so if that's tight there, if that's fitted on, then obviously this is the outer cover. That's what you're gonna see when you open your boot, and it sits like that. So obviously you can see here that it's covered with glue, and it is actually. This side it's glued, so it's up to here. You're up to here, it's covered with glue. So what you need to do is put the strut into the vise, and just use your heat gun and heat it up all around nicely, equally, to basically until you melt the glue, and then you'll be able to slide this cover off. It takes a while, but obviously that's the only way to take the outer cover off. And the tape measure is here, so that you can see how much to mark and to heat up. So you've got 16 centimeters. So 16 centimeters from where this starts here, 16 centimeters, and heat it up. Heat, and again heat. Loads of heat. Otherwise this cover not gonna come off. And what I did was something very thin. Push, when you obviously heat everything up properly, push very thin wire, like a copper wire, push it through so that it goes through the whole plastic, and then you'll be able to sort of cut the glue around as well, like I don't know if you know what I mean, like when you cut in the window out from the when you cut in the seal on the windows on the cars, then you have to use the wire on both ends. So sort of thing, same principle here, or very thin screwdriver and just go around. Right, so obviously now when I want to fit my motor back, but you need to make space on the bearing. There you go. You need to make space for the bearing, well, between the bearing and the spring. So because the spring is constantly putting pressure on the bearing, you need to release the pressure. So what I've done, I've put cable tie around here on both ends, opposite to each other. Strap, obviously this is to not cut my strap, and but don't use the smallest ones because they can snap anytime. And yeah, so you take your plastic cover and you put your cover there. So move the washer over there, and that should just sort of click in. Oh, there you go. So that's in. Obviously now we will have to route the wires some way where they're not gonna be you know, putting too much angle, because I don't want them to break, and obviously they do move, so they can break. This will have to be slidden a bit further because he has to go around here. Yeah, so I thought I would just let you know how to release a bit of a pressure. Maybe I'll give you an idea how to release a bit of a pressure, because sometimes you may need to take both covers off, and then they a bit of a pain to put them on. Right, so I've used 2 cable ties to hold the 2 plastic pieces together. I taped up whatever I didn't want to put silicone on, and I've just put silicone around, and now I'll just slide this tube over and just leave it to settle. I'll leave that overnight, so yeah, it should be alright to use tomorrow. So I'll fit that tomorrow, and then I'll record a video of how it works and how it looks. So yeah. Okay, so the final end should look like this. Everything, all the wiring. Sweet. Right, it's a day, probably like 3. I've managed to, like on the previous clip you've seen, that I've glued all the parts together with the silicone. Everything was sound. I've connected it up today. Nothing like whatsoever. Zero reaction. So I'm thinking that the motor has died. Previously it was working. I was trying to connect that to the battery, which works fully as well, which is fully like charged. There's a negative terminal and a positive, and nothing whatsoever. So what I'm thinking, because it was rusty, maybe some water ingress inside the actual motor. So my plan is to basically take the motor apart and see what's inside. So hold on. Right, so I've bent these little tiny plates out, and that's how the motor looks inside. It's bad. It's very bad. Everything needs taking apart and cleaning. No wonder why it had no power. I probably can't take that out because of the gearing. over there. I need to take this apart. It has a circlip, so probably all the bits in there, so yeah, I need to take the other end off as well. Right, so what I've noticed is that when I took the motor apart, at the minute it's drying, but there was actually nothing wrong with the motor. Yeah, it had a bit of surface rust, but the biggest problem what I had was here. Where is my pointer? Here. This and this. These are two springs that meant to push the brushes forward. When I took the motor apart, the actual bit, I think it's called the commutator, that wasn't touching the brushes because this brush was literally like flush here, so it was all the way back. I've moved it forward now, so it's moving, but this here, that it's that disappeared, so now I'll have to make these sort of springs up now. So I need to go and find a pen, and yeah, I'll try to make a spring out of that, I think, because that's the only thing that comes to my head. Right, so that was my magic pen. I've cut the spring a little bit. Come on, focus. There you go. Spring being cut, adjusted, and there she is. And everything works as well. It's hard to record and push something at the same time, but there you go. See? So now I'll just put a blob of glue at the top so that the spring don't shoot up, and that's it. That's done. Should work. We'll try. Right, sorry for the angle of the camera, but I've got no one to hold the phone. So here's the motor. Everything works. Sound. Right, another blob of glue, and time to slide the cover again and see if it's gonna work. But I'm pretty confident it will. Okay, so this stick ain't needed here anymore because it works. So you press the button, here you go. Everything is fully working.